When is the right time to bring up price on your sales call? The answer is it depends. And I know some people hate that answer because what do you mean it depends? Well, it depends. There are a couple of scenarios where I'd recommend bringing it up in the beginning of the call. So let me share my screen for a minute. Let's break this down. Scenario number one, beginning of call. When would it be a right time to bring up price in the beginning of your sales call, potentially even your discovery? If you are noticing that every time you save the price for less, when you're done with your presentation and then you show the price, that the prospect either objects, well, most of the time they will object. A lot of times that's just the nature of sales, but to the point where you'll lose the deal. Like, that's too expensive. Then there's nothing you can say to win the deal. And you're noticing that your prospects are very price sensitive. That's a pattern that you're noticing. Then I would definitely recommend bringing up price in the beginning of the call. I have a client that they were experiencing that. They would only show price at the beginning. They would do discovery, they would do the demo, and at the end of the demo, they would talk about the price. And they noticed the pattern that the prospect kept saying, no, this won't work for us. This is way more expensive than what we had. Say, no, thank you. And they were tuned out already. And so I told them, well, what I'd recommend you do is you should start bringing up the price in the beginning. Tell the prospect, hey, I just want to be transparent with you. Would it make sense for us to go over price before we actually go over the demo? Because I wouldn't want to waste your time. Prospect says yes. Now they started showing price in the beginning and they're getting a price gut check. All they're asking the prospect is like, hey, based on the plans right now that you're seeing, the range, the monthly subscription plans, would it work for you? And if they're getting a yes, then great, they do the demo. If they're like, no, this definitely won't work for us, deal breaker no matter what, then what they do is they just disqualify that prospect. There's more to it, more nuances and context, right? Because sometimes a prospect will object to the price without seeing the value. It really depends, but we're keeping it a high level without going into the nuances. If you notice that your prospect objects to price, that they're very price sensitive, then start showing the price in the beginning of the call. Another example I would recommend potentially would be to show the price and the plans or talk about it throughout the call, throughout the demo. So let's say you're showing the prospect a feature, they're really interested in that feature. They're like, wow, that's really awesome. It's exactly what we want. Yeah, that's great. That is on our premium plan. That is on our bronze plan. Whatever plan it is that feature that they like is on, because you're constantly reinforcing which plan it's on. So by the time you get to the end of the call where you're really spending time on the price, they're not surprised. You've already called out which feature goes on which plan. So that's another example of when I would recommend bringing up the price throughout the call, throughout the demo. And then another scenario, and this happens a lot, and I've seen this happen to me when I'm evaluating agencies or software, et cetera, et cetera. I'll notice that they don't actually bring price up front. They save that for last. They first they do the discovery, they build up the value, the case for their product, and then at the end they show price. That could work a lot of times too. If you notice on the discovery that your prospect is highly motivated, you've asked them all the right discovery questions. What problem are you having? What challenge are you having in your business? How, what's happening because of that problem? Who's that affecting? How come you're doing it now? Why not later? And then you realize that their motivation on a scale of 1 through 10, 10 being we're crazy motivated, buildings on fire, we need to solve this yesterday. If their motivation is leaning more towards the 7, 8, 9, 10 scale, then they're potentially they'd be willing to pay a premium for solving their problem. For example, let's say you have a car and somebody is selling you, I don't know, like a soap, wash your car, right? Car wash. And they're selling it for $100. Eh, what's your motivation? You want to get a clean car? Fine. But let's say your tire blew out and you have a job interview tomorrow. And the only place that's open that can fix your tire in time charges $2,000 for one tire. Would you pay for it? Of course you would. That is your level of urgency, your level of pain is very high. Because if you don't fix a tire, you don't go to that job interview and you cannot drive. So the impact of that problem is larger than the impact of getting a car wash or your car being dirty. So that's what I'm saying. If you're on a discovery call with a prospect and you've established that their pain is really high, really, really high, then you can say, you know what? Well, I'm going to save the price for last because they need to solve this regardless. And that's another example of saving the price for less. And then option 4, in this case, try all three. try bring up the price up front where you're telling the prospect, hey, I want to be transparent with you. Would be okay if we go over price first. You let me know if it works for you. And if it does, we'll do the demo. If it doesn't, that's fine too. A lot of times you'll hear the prospect, if they have a high pain, they'll tell you, it doesn't matter the price. We really want to, we're focused, we care more about solving the problem. So tell us how you can solve our problem first. That's great if they say that. And a lot of times they'll say, yeah, show me the price. Show them the price, and then you show them the high level, the plans, and then you do your demo. And then as you're going through your sales presentation demo, you're referring back to the plans that you showed them earlier on. Oh, by the way, this feature that you really like here. That's on the bronze plan that we talked about earlier on. And then at the end of the call, you're just doing a recap of all the pricing and the plans that you already talked about in the beginning. So I would experiment. So I don't know. Obviously, I'm talking to the camera here, but I don't know where you are. If you're not doing beginning of call, test it out if you're seeing a price sensitivity at the end of the call. If you're not doing throughout the call, then test this out. If you're not bringing up price at the end of the call, I don't know anyone that doesn't bring up price at the end of the call. But if you're not doing this, then obviously bring it up. And worst case, just try all three and see which one resonates mostly with your prospects. And then pay attention. Are your prospects now converting more, converting less? Are they being disqualified more? You got to, everything that I teach here is all about testing. Nobody can come and tell you, hey, if you want to close more sales or if you want to prevent more sales, you got to do this, or you cannot do this, because it works in their world only and it works in their experience, and it's very contextual. So you got to take someone's advice, even if they think it works for them and it's a golden rule, apply it in your world, see if it works. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, move on to something else. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and share this channel with anyone you know.